come on board, and every one of the temperatures is somewhat warmer than what I'm experiencing, with the exception of I did hear Quebec and I heard Alberta. There's a small chance that one of them may be colder than I am, and certainly probably in Quebec may have a little bit more snow. But I'm hoping that one of you sponsors somebody in Alaska this week, because I'd really love to hear them on the phone, because that would be an encouraging break in my weather. So welcome to the call. It is unusually cold out there, and should be interesting in another 9 days to watch the Super Bowl come to life in New York. Certainly saw some pictures and a lot of snow there, so it should be an interesting weekend. Looking forward to that. My name's Karen Hill. I'm a double diamond, as you have guessed, up in Canada, in the cold north. So welcome to the call, everybody. Want to see how many people have already received their brochure from Royal Caribbean. How many of you out there have that brochure on the Oasis of the Sea? If you haven't requested it, be sure to go on Royal Caribbean's website and request it. If, of course, you want that to be one of your goals for this upcoming year, is to qualify for that Zija trip in 2015. The qualification period is well underway. In fact, we've almost got a month under our belts of the qualification period. So if you don't have that brochure on your goal board in your hand so that you can see the beautiful 2-level loft suites that are on this particular ship, and the ports of calls and where this ship travels to, and all the things that you can do, it's pretty much endless on this particular ship. So excited, and make sure you make that outbound phone call or get on the Royal Caribbean website and request a brochure so that you have it in front of you. It's part of moving forward with your goals, is literally making them become real and seem real to you. So make sure you do that today. Let's talk a little bit about systems this morning. You know, systems permit ordinary people to achieve extraordinary results. That's really what they're all about. The definition, when we look at a system, is it's literally the process of predictably achieving a goal based on a logical and specific set of how-to principles. That's the definition if you look it up in the dictionary. And really, it's the difference between the mom and pop hamburger joint and McDonald's. It's all the difference is a system. It's the difference between the coffee shop that maybe is local in your community, and for those of you in Canada, Tim Hortons. For those of you down in the U.S., Dunkin' Donuts. That's the difference. Is a system. And I want to talk about a specific skill this morning that I believe was maybe talked on earlier this week, but it's an absolute part of the system of prospecting, and that is the three-way phone call. And there's a skill and a method and a system that you use within that three-way phone call. And so I want to talk a little bit about it this morning. So if you've got your piece of paper and your pencil out, I want you to draw a great big triangle. Great big triangle, because that's all a three-way phone call is it's three individuals interacting with one another in a logical system to get results. And so that great big triangle that you've drawn on your page, I want you to go to the very top of the triangle and label that A equals expert. Bottom left-hand corner is B, and that's you, the consultant, or the person that is starting the three-way phone call. And number C on the right-hand corner of that triangle, label it C, and that is the prospect or the person that is looking at Zija for the very first time. Now, there's certainly some myths in regards to three-way phone calls. There are people who won't do them because they feel that maybe the person's going to hang up on them. They feel that it's somewhat awkward. They feel that the prospect's going to feel awkward, when the reality is it's probably the most awkward initially until you practice it enough. It's the most awkward on you as a consultant often. The time. The expert's been on so many that they could do them in their sleep. So it's probably the most difficult. So don't think that it's going to be difficult on your prospect, and don't think that it's going to turn them off. In fact, it moves them to a decision much faster than if you don't do it. A lot of people also believe that, hey, if I get somebody, if I get my best friend on a three-way phone call, the expert is going to hammer them, and that's not the reality. In fact, my job on a three-way phone call is to move the prospect through the process, and in doing that, maintain the relationship that the consultant has with the prospect. And in fact, I'm probably better at making that happen than the actual consultant is. In many cases, the consultant is pushing the prospect a little too quickly, and I'm the one that lays back and allows the prospect to hear the information. So those are some of the myths about the three-way phone call. There's also the idea that people can do this business without it, and the reality is using the phone and using the three-way phone call is the one thing in this whole area of skills that I've been talking about that you cannot omit. So as we talk about a variety of different skills, there may be some that you get really good at, there may be some that you don't use, but this is the one. If you look at every single top leader in every company, so I'm not talking just Zija, but I'm talking across the board, this particular piece is an absolute necessity. It is one of those things that if you haven't relented to doing three-way phone calls as part of your daily activity, then you need to participate in them. And they don't have to be just for prospecting. We're going to be talking about them today from a prospecting standpoint, but they are effective in a variety of other areas. So they're effective in inviting someone to a presentation. So rather than you just inviting them, if you put them on a three-way with one of the speakers that's going to be at the presentation, it significantly increases the chances of that prospect showing up. If you're looking to get people to come out to a training event, again, if you do a three-way with someone that has been out to a Zija training event with someone that you're looking to get out the very first time, you will increase the likelihood of them attending. I use them all the time when I'm working on getting people to attend the summit event. Those are cases where you can really increase your attendance rates by using the three-way phone call. It's not just for prospecting. That I want you to be aware of. It's also a great tool immediately after someone has come on board, for you to use a three-way phone call to validate that they've made a good decision in coming on board or starting the products from a weight loss standpoint. When somebody moves forward, there's always that hesitation. After you've purchased something or after you've made a decision to move forward, you're always sort of guessing yourself. Did I make the right decision? Will I be able to do this? Will these products work for me? I've tried 1,000 other diet things and they've never worked. Will these products be different? So immediately after you have someone coming on board with you, whether their product or whether their business, a three-way phone call can be like that validation for you ladies that are on the phone. You know what it's like when you go into a dressing room, you put on something that you're thinking about purchasing, you kind of look in the mirror and you go, yeah, I think it's not too bad, I think it's okay, not 100% sure. And if you walk out the dressing room door and your girlfriend is sitting there and goes, wow, that looks fantastic. You know how that changes your entire outlet. You're 100% sure that this is the right outfit after that validation. And that's what the three-way phone call can do for someone that you've just brought on board. So don't forget to use it outside of prospecting. The magic of the three-way phone call, the magic of it is twofold. From a standpoint of the people that you know, it allows them to hear the information that you're attempting to share. Because the people that you know because you're in a particular box. So some of the people you know, they may know you because you belong to the same church. Some of the people that you know, they may know you because you're so-and-so's parent. Others know you because of the job or the occupation that you've had in past. And so they have you sort of in a box. For very few of you, they don't know you because of you being an expert in network marketing, or you being an expert in alternative health, or you being an expert in moringa oleifera. I mean, they don't have you in those particular boxes. And so when you're trying to give them information, they're going, but you're so-and-so's mother. Like, I thought you were at home. Like, what do you know about building a business? And that's what's going through the back of their mind. Instead of listening to the information, these things are going through their mind. And so it's really important that the people you know, that you put them on a three-way phone call, and that you introduce them to an expert, that they're now going, oh, this person is an expert in moringa oleifera, or this person is an expert in building a network marketing business. They've been highly successful in that. Or this person is an alternative healthcare practitioner that knows everything about every botanical and helping people get wellness. And so they're listening all of a sudden. So it's important for the people that you know. It's also equally as important for the people that you don't know, because what are the questions that are going through their minds? The questions are, who is this idiot that said hello to me in the elevator? Like, are they totally there? Or who's this person that's now talking to me in the line at the grocery store? Or, heaven forbid, who is this person that just called me out of the blue on the phone? And it's really hard to blow your own horn. People kind of go, oh, well, that person's kind of boasting or arrogant or whatever when you're talking about your own success. It's much easier for you to have someone else validate it. So, for instance, for me to hand someone the Success magazine is a method of validating my success. You can see my picture in there. You can see a little bit about my story versus me walking up to somebody that I don't know and start spouting out all of that information. And the three-way phone call does that effectively also. So that's the magic in it. The other piece of magic is if you start your brand new prospect with a three-way phone call in the prospecting process, what do you think the chances are that they will do the exact same thing as they are working with their new prospects and starting to build their new business? Absolutely huge chance that they will use that three-way phone call, because that's what they were exposed to. That's what they believe to be the norm. If you don't do it during the process, what do you think the chances are of duplicating that action? They're pretty much slim to nil, because you didn't do it. Even if you start talking to them after the process of signing them up, they're still gonna go, okay, well, they didn't do it when they signed me up. So it's really important, even if you've got somebody that's like literally going, okay, I want to come on board, without you hardly saying anything to them, you need to make sure that you don't act too quickly on that and skip the step of the three-way phone call. And so make sure that that's part of it, because it will duplicate, and you can't reverse the fact that you didn't do it during the prospecting process with your brand new recruit. It also allows the prospects to really get the information and really allows them to make a informed decision rather than half hearing what you're saying. It allows them to get all the information to make an absolutely informed decision. And the other magic about it, if you're brand new, relatively new, is that you get to learn by listening to the experts. So the more you do, it's like having your own personal coach giving you information. You should be writing crazy when you're listening to the expert talk to your prospect. So let's talk a little bit about the method. So there is a skill involved in doing the three-way phone call. So I want you to look again at that triangle that you've done. The A is the expert, the B is the consultant, and the C is the prospect. So the first part of the three-way phone call is edifying the expert within the introduction. So the expert doesn't necessarily even have to be an expert. It all depends upon how you introduce that individual. And it's not just about mentioning that, that they're a, presidential crown diamond, whatever it is. That doesn't really mean anything to your prospect. It's far more effective to say something like, I'd like to introduce you to Debbie Callahan. She's been involved in this business from early on. She's developing an incredible team. She really knows how to help others get success in this business. So it's not talking about a rank. It's talking about this person is going to be of benefit to the prospect if they decide to come on board. And so you maybe talk a little bit about the background of the person. You talk maybe a little bit about their lifestyle. They just got back from, this place or that place. Or I love the fact that they live a part of the time in Canada, part of the time in a southern climate. That's the benefit of being an expert and being successful in this industry. So it can be not just titles. Share some things that make sense to a prospect because they don't know what the titles are if they've never been involved in network marketing. Talk about how the expert is able to help people understand and be successful. That's an appeal to the prospect. So that's the introduction or the edification of the expert. So anybody can be the expert. They don't have to be David Moses to be the expert or Chris Estes. Anyone can be the expert. It's how you introduce them and how you edify who that person is. And maybe their success comes from outside of this industry. And so you talk a little bit about that, that they have multiple businesses. They've been highly successful in the business world, and they are now turning those skills to this company here. So there's lots of ways to edify that expert. So that's you, be the consultant. The first thing you do is introduce the expert through edification. And then you come back and you compliment the prospect within the introduction. So you might say something like, Debbie, I'd like to introduce you to my friend Steve. The reason I have Steve on the phone is I'm extremely respectful of his work ethic, his leadership abilities. I've watched him be very successful in everything that he's done, and I know that those traits could be highly beneficial if he decides to build a business here. So when you do that, it literally opens the ears of your prospect. Whenever someone compliments you, you get a smile on your face. You're open. You're willing to listen and hear. And so that's important. You want to put the prospect in the right frame of mind to hear what the expert has to say. So you've started by edifying the expert. Then you're complimenting the prospect in the introduction to the expert. And then I want you to lead with a little bit of information so that the expert knows what direction to take the phone call in. So you're going to lead with, Steve has had a chance to see the Zija Discovery Channel documentary. He's interested in the product, but he's also got a real business mind. So I'd love it if you could kind of do a little bit of an overview on what's happened for you on the product and also what you've been able to do with those amazing products to build a business. And so you can lead from that standpoint. You could say something like, Steve is an athlete. He's looking for peak performance, and I'd like you to share some of the aspects of the product. So that narrows it down. Now I know as the expert to talk about the products from an athletic standpoint versus just giving me the information to talk about the product. So you can see in the introduction, you can lead me to exactly what you want me to share with the prospect. And then it's your time to be quiet. If I want you to talk again as an expert, I will ask you a question. most of the time, you're just going to be quiet. So, and that for some people is the hardest thing to do. And if you don't, it's really hard for me to flow the conversation as an expert. Sometimes I'm going in a direction to ultimately get to where you want me to talk, and so it's important that you allow me to do that, and that you don't interrupt. So that's the most important thing that the bee can do is after you've edified the expert, and then you have complimented the prospect, you've introduced them to one another through that process, and then you've led with the topic that you want me to cover as the expert. It's time to be quiet. And here's the last one for those of you that are experts, because if you're on this line, you probably have a team, you're working towards Diamond, and you are many times the expert on these phone calls. The last thing that you have to do, and it is vital, is that you need to now edify the consultant. So as the expert, you've been edified, the prospect has been complimented. Now they've listened to this expert and they're going, man, I wish, I'm not so sure I want to be with the person, the idiot, my next door neighbor that introduced me to this. I want to be with this expert. It's your job as the expert to edify now the consultant. And you can say simple things like, you're so lucky, Steve, to be introduced by Ted. Ted is so dedicated to building a successful business here. He's very coachable, and I know you're going to be in great hands. So that could be someone that's the consultant B is relatively new. Or maybe you've got somebody that's just hit a rank advancement that's got you on the phone with a prospect, and you can refer to that. Steve, you're really lucky to be introduced by Barb. She just actually reached a rank advancement, a leadership rank advancement within our company. She's hit the gold level, and she's now got herself ready to qualify to drive a Mercedes-Benz. She is having quick success with this company, and I know she'll be able to help you as she's helped her team get quick success. And so you're edifying the consultant, and now the prospect, that's the last thing they hear, and they're like clamoring to find out more information from that consultant that has introduced them, and they're excited to be now part of a team. So those are the steps involved in doing a three-way phone call. I can tell you that in the beginning they are difficult. To role play them. So if you want to role play them with individuals, role playing three-way phone calls is probably the most difficult thing to do. To actually do a three-way phone call is far easier than role playing them. So the best way to learn this skill is actually by doing it. The last thing I want to talk a little bit about is the skill of getting into a three-way phone call. Because when you ask to do it, often it doesn't occur. So, when you ask somebody, hey, I want to put you on the line with my upline sponsor or whatever, or I want to put you on the line with somebody, they're like hesitant because they don't know what to expect. Their mind goes to, their subconscious mind goes to, well, when has that happened in my past life? And often it's in situations where they're not happy about it. So, for instance, when you go to buy an automobile, you're talking to the salesperson, and then when you get closer to doing a deal, they bring in the sales manager, and they get them into the process, and it usually is kind of painful, and you wish you could figure out how to buy a car without going to the dealership. And so that's what the subconscious mind does. And so when you ask to do it, they're not sure. They don't want to look like an idiot. They've never done anything like that before. So the natural tendency is to say no to something that we're not sure of. So don't ask. What you're going to do is, as you're going through the process, so you've piqued their interest, you've maybe sent them something to take a look at, now you're doing the follow-up phone call, and as they are having a discussion with you, you're asking them questions, what did you like particularly? Did you find the products interesting and the benefits of the products, or Were you more interested in the business opportunity and the financial abundance that could be developed here? And you're really asking those types of questions. And as they start to get into conversation, if you're asking enough questions, they'll ask some questions back of you. And as soon as they ask those questions, it doesn't matter what the question is. It's literally, you know what, Steve, that's a great question. Hold on a second. And you dial into the three-way. You click off, you dial the three-way, you click back on, and as it's ringing, you're saying to Steve, that was a great question. I'm just trying to get Steve on the line because I've heard him answer that question before. He does such a great job. I'm not sure if we'll get him, but let's see. And then you're letting the phone ring, and if you get it, you go right into the introduction. So you edify the expert, you compliment the prospect, and then in that lead with the topic, you say, I've been just on the phone with Steve. He's looked at the Discovery Channel documentary, and he's asking me a little bit more about the effectiveness of Maringo Olafera. I know you've answered that question 1,000 times, and I was wondering if you could share. And also, he's got some interest from a business standpoint, so after you share a little bit about the Maringo Olafera and the results that we get with our products, can you maybe give him a little bit of an indication on how he could develop and build a business successfully? And that's it. Now, if you go through that process and you get the answering machine, so let's say you've gone into that process, if it's spontaneous, you get the answering machine of your expert instead of the expert. All you're going to do is leave a message. You're clicked back to your prospect. They're going to hear you leaving this message, and it's just as simple as, hey, Karen, I've got my friend Steve on the line. He'd been looking at the documentary, was asking some questions about the Maringo Olafera and its effectiveness, and I know I've heard you answer that many times. If you don't mind, can you give me a call back, and I'll reconnect us into Steve when you've got a moment. And then you hang up on that, you click back to your prospect and say, I know you're going to enjoy hearing from Karen. I've heard her answer that question so many times, so when she calls me back, I'll touch bases and see if I can connect in with you again. So you've opened the avenue to doing that, a three-way phone call. So hopefully that's helpful. It is a skill, like I said, that is hard to practice. The only thing that I encourage people to practice is the mechanics. So how do I connect it up? So how do I use the link button or the flash button, or how do I put 3 people on the phone? So you can practice with your new business partners in getting 3 people on the phone so they're comfortable with the mechanics and making sure that they've got the three-way capability on their phone. So those things can be done, but role-playing it is probably one of the most difficult things to do. It really occurs through practice and through time frame with your new recruits and helping them develop the skills of the introduction. So the edification of the expert, the introduction and the complimenting of that prospect, and then leading with the topic that they want covered, and then the magic of being quiet, and then the edification that occurs at the end of a great three-way. So I'm going to open it up, see if anybody has any questions. It's run a little bit long, but it's a topic that needs to be discussed, and it's a topic that you need to implement. If you're not doing them every single day, I mean every single day, then you're not doing them enough to build your business. So hold on here.
Driving to the church.
Somebody, hold on here a second. Somebody that's having a conversation. The line's unmuted now. I can hear somebody talking in a conversation. If you're the person that hasn't hit *6, we're listening to your conversation with your girlfriend. So you may want to hit *6. Okay, go back to the question.
Okay, if you have a prospect in another country and they're currently working with another company, but they're interested in an opportunity, and you already passed them to the two, and now you go past them to the three-way, and you're not able to get the first person, but you can contact others, and then you said, what I'm trying to find out is that person has a certain amount of time, and they cannot be contacted at their work, and they can't give you their phone number as a policy proximity of where their council was. How do you address that?
One of the things I try to do with my international contacts is I try to Skype with them. So I do this whole process using Skype.
I'm not familiar with Skype.
Okay, so just go on. Do you use a computer regularly?
I can use it, yes.
Okay. Skype is a program that allows you to talk over your computer internationally, and most of your leaders will have Skype, so it's just SKYPE, and you go in and you download that, and then as you're working with people internationally, then you find out what their Skype address is, and you do that whole same process over Skype, and you can do it where you're just hearing people talking, so just as if you were on the phone, or you can do it where you can visually see one another, or you can also do it from a typing standpoint where you can actually get into some translation also, because sometimes if you're working internationally, you may have a variety of languages going on. So go take a look at Skype and download it, and that will be helpful for you from an international standpoint.
Okay, and I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself. I'm Kathy Rashid from Far Rockaway, New York.
Well, welcome to the call.
Thank you.
Any other questions out there? Okay, well, any announcements on upcoming events? Anybody have an upcoming event, business presentation, or training that you'd like to announce? You are a quiet group this morning. All right, well, I will let you go. You've been on way too long this morning, but do take some time. If you're not doing the three-way phone call presently, do take some time to go out and practice that this week. Practice will make perfect. It will be uncomfortable. You'll hang up on people. In fact, I still hang up on people accidentally. And it's okay, because it's part of the process of doing this business, and it is a part that you cannot omit, and it is the part that people struggle with for whatever reason. They feel that the experts are too busy to do the three-way phone calls. They feel that their prospect is going to be uncomfortable with them. There's 1,000 reasons why they convince themselves not to do it. It is the one thing you will need to get over, and it is the one skill that you will use every single day, all day long, is the three-way phone call. All right, I will let you guys go. Have a wonderful day, and look forward to chatting next week with the new call. Bye, guys.
Great training, Karen. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Michael Sprackman, Sacramento, California. Thank you for the North Carolina.
Thank you, Karen. Karen and Grand Meadows, California. Thank you, Karen. Back here, Philadelphia, Ohio. Great call.
Thank you. Good morning, and I was in Atlanta, Georgia.